The blood on his cuff had already dried by the time the snow started falling. Kyun Jae-min sat alone on the park bench, black suit sharp against the white world around him, red shirt beneath catching the glow of the street lamps. His breath rose in thin clouds. The cold didn't bother him. Nothing bothered him anymore. Tattoos crawled up his throat and disappeared under his collar. Dark ink telling stories he never spoke aloud. His hands rested on his knees still, controlled. The kind of stillness that came after violence. Winterridge Park was empty. It always was at this hour. That's why he came here. No witnesses, no questions, just snow and silence and the hum of old street lamps that barely worked anymore. Then a voice broke through. Sir, he didn't move. Children didn't approach him. Adults didn't approach him. Not unless they were running or dying. But small boots crunched closer through the snow. Sir, can I spend a day with you? He lifted his gaze. A little girl stood 3 feet away. 7 years old, maybe younger. Brown coat too big for her thin shoulders, sleeves hanging past her hands. Her boots were soaked through, snow clinging to the laces. She held a teddy bear against her chest, like it was the only thing keeping her heart inside her body. Her braids were dusted white with snowflakes. Her eyes were wide, serious in a way that made his chest tighten. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. He blinked. His mind, sharp as a blade most days, stalled. Was this a setup? A distraction? Had someone sent a child to get close to him? He scanned the park. Empty benches. No cars. No movement in the shadows. Just her. And she was shivering. Where is your mother? He asked. His voice came out rougher than he intended. Her lip trembled. She forced it still. I don't know. She didn't come home. I waited. I waited a long time. His jaw tightened. He leaned forward slightly, elbows on his knees. How long? Since this morning. Her fingers twisted into the teddy bear's matted fur. I tried asking people for help. They walked away. They crossed the street. One lady locked her door when she saw me. He knew why. He hated that he knew why. So I walked. She continued, voice small but steady. Mommy always said find a safe place. Find good people. And then I saw you. You were just sitting here, looking at the snow. And when I got close, you looked at me. Really looked. Like you saw me. Something in his chest cracked. He had been seen his whole life. Feared. Respected. Hated. But never trusted. Not like this. Not by someone so small and breakable. What's your name? He asked. Araya. Araya, he repeated. The name felt strange in his mouth. Soft. Human. I'm not a good man. You didn't walk away, she said. He exhaled slowly. Stood. His height made her tilt her head back. She didn't flinch. Didn't step away. Just looked up at him with those wide, serious eyes. Where do you live? He asked. She told him the address. His blood went cold. He knew that neighborhood. He knew what operated in those blocks. Human traffickers, drug routes, extortion rings, the kind of predators who saw children like Araya as inventory. He looked down at her soaked boots, her trembling hands, the tear in her teddy bear leaking stuffing onto the snow. Then he made a decision that would break every rule he'd ever lived by. Come, he said. She nodded and slipped her hand into his. Her fingers were so small, so cold. They fit into his palm like trust forming without permission. It startled him, warmed him, warned him. This was not going to be simple. They walked through the snow-covered streets, her boots crunching beside his polished shoes. She didn't talk, just held his hand tighter every time a car passed. He noticed everything, the way shadows moved wrong near certain alleys, the way lights were off in buildings that should have been glowing, the way the air felt tight like a wound freshly opened. When they reached her building, faded brick, flickering hallway light, rust on the railings, he stopped. The door to her apartment was open, not wide, just cracked, an inch, maybe 2. A child wouldn't see the danger in that. He saw everything. He crouched down, a level with her. Stay behind me. Don't make a sound. She obeyed instantly. He pushed the door open with one finger. The apartment was chaos. Drawers pulled out, contents scattered across the floor. Couch cushions sliced open, stuffing spilling out. Cabinets emptied. The kitchen table overturned. This wasn't a robbery. Robberies were quick, sloppy loud. This was methodical. Someone had been searching for something specific. Araya stepped forward. Mommy never leaves the door. He threw his arm out, stopping her. Then he heard it. A creak. Slow. Deliberate. Coming from a back bedroom. Someone was still inside. He turned, scooped Araya into his arms, and backed toward the hallway in one smooth motion. Her teddy bear pressed between them. She buried her face in his shoulder, silent. The bedroom door opened. A man stepped out. Tall, masked, black tactical gear, and in his right hand, a tranquilizer gun. Their eyes met. The man raised the weapon. Jamin was already moving. What happens when the most dangerous man in Chicago realizes he's protecting the one thing that could destroy him? Drop a comment below and don't forget to subscribe. This story is just getting started. Jamin hit the stairwell door with his shoulder, Araya tucked tight against his chest. The man in the mask didn't follow. Didn't need to. He'd seen what he came to see. Confirmation that the girl was still alive. Still accessible. That made her target. Jamin's car was parked 2 blocks away, black and sleek and invisible in the right shadows. He slid Araya into the back seat, buckled her in with hands that moved faster than his heartbeat. Stay low, he said. She nodded, clutching her teddy bear. He pulled out his phone as he started the engine. 1 call, 3 rings. Sir, the voice on the other end was sharp, alert. I need a clean house. Now, no questions. Understood. North side or penthouse. Send 2 guards, armed. Nobody gets in. A pause. Sir, is this? Do it. He hung up. Araya's voice came from the back seat, small and careful. Sir, why was that man in my house? He glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Her face was pressed against the window, watching the city lights blur past. He was looking for something, Jamin said. What? He didn't answer right away. Couldn't, because the truth was starting to take shape in his mind, and he didn't like it. Your mother, he said finally. Did she ever bring work home? Papers? Files? Araya nodded slowly. Sometimes. She said they were important. She kept them in a blue folder under her bed. His hands tightened on the wheel. Did you see anyone watching your building? Before tonight? She hesitated, then nodded again. 2 nights ago, a man in a gray car. He was just sitting there, staring. Mommy saw him too. She pulled me inside real fast and locked the door. She looked scared, his jaw clenched. This wasn't random. This wasn't a mistake. Someone had been watching Linnell Caldwell, tracking her, waiting for the right moment. And when they took her, they'd come back for the apartment, for whatever she'd hidden, or for Araya. He pulled into the underground garage of his building, tires barely whispering against the concrete. 2 men in black suits were already waiting by the elevator. They nodded once. No questions. That's what he paid them for. Araya climbed out of the car, teddy bear dangling from one hand. She stared up at the vaulted ceiling, the polished floors, the lights that didn't flicker. Is this your house? She asked. One of them, he said. The elevator ride was silent. She stood close to him, shoulder brushing his leg. When the doors opened, she gasped. Floor-to-ceiling windows, marble floors, white furniture that looked like it had never been touched. The city stretched out below them, lights glittering like scattered diamonds. It's so clean, she whispered. He almost smiled. Almost. You'll stay here tonight, he said. You'll be safe. She looked up at him. Will you stay too? He hesitated, then nodded. She sat on the couch, small and out of place against the white leather. He brought her a blanket, a glass of water, a sandwich he wasn't sure she'd eat. She took the water, ignored the sandwich, held the teddy bear tighter. Sir. Her voice was barely audible. I think the bad men want me, not Mommy. He froze, turned slowly. Why do you say that? She stared at the floor. Because Mommy hid me. That night the man was watching. She put me in the closet and told me to be quiet. And I heard her on the phone. She said, they can't have her. I won't let them. His blood turned to ice. If you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now, because what happens next will change everything. Jamin stood at the window, phone pressed to his ear, watching the city breathe below him. His men were already moving, pulling surveillance footage, running license plates, tracking digital footprints. The Marrowcrest Syndicate didn't operate like common criminals. They operated like ghosts. And ghosts found answers. "Sir," the voice on the phone was clipped, efficient. "We got something. Talk." The mother's name is Linnell Caldwell. Works 2 jobs. No criminal record. No debts. No connections to anyone dangerous. Then why is she missing? A pause. She worked as a nursing assistant at Mercy General. One of her patients was a man named Gerald Finch. He died 3 weeks ago. Natural causes officially. But Finch was the former CFO of Eastburn Holdings. Jamin's eyes narrowed. Eastburn Holdings. Archer Eastburn. The name alone made his pulse slow, sharpened. Eastburn was old Chicago money. Real estate. Pharmaceuticals. Political donations that bought silence. He was the kind of man who smiled in boardrooms and buried bodies in Foundation S. 2 years ago, Eastburn had tried to buy the Marrowcrest Syndicate. Offered Jamin a partnership. A merger, he'd called it. Jamin had declined. Politely. Firmly. Eastburn hadn't liked that. "What's the connection?" Jamin asked. "We're still digging." But Finch's medical records show Linnell Caldwell was his primary caregiver in his final weeks. And 3 days before he died, he requested a private meeting with her. No witnesses. No other staff. Jamin's mind worked fast, calculating. He told her something. "That's our theory. Find out what. Already on it. But sir, there's something else. The man in the apartment tonight. We pulled his image from a nearby traffic camera. His name is Donovan Hayes. Former military. Discharged under questionable circumstances. Currently employed by a private security firm." "Which firm?" "Eastburn Security Solutions." Jamin closed his eyes. There it was. The thread connecting everything. He hung up and turned back to Araya. She'd fallen asleep on the couch, blanket pulled up to her chin, teddy bear tucked under her arm. Her face was peaceful now, innocent, unaware of the storm circling her. He walked to the table and found the letter he'd taken from her apartment. Unfolded it. Read it again under the light. "If something happens to me, it's because of Eastburn Holdings. They took something that wasn't theirs. They threatened my daughter. I don't know who to trust. If you find this, protect Araya. Don't let them find her." He folded the letter carefully, placed it in his jacket pocket. Then his phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "We know you have a girl. Return her by midnight or the mother dies." His jaw clenched. A photo followed. Linnell Caldwell, bound to a chair, blood on her lip, eyes wide with terror, but alive. Jamin's thumb hovered over the screen. He could reply, could negotiate, could set terms, but he didn't, because men like Archer Eastburn didn't negotiate. They hunted, and Jamin had just become prey. He looked back at Araya, sleeping, small, trusting. Then he made a decision. He wasn't returning her. He was going to war. The clock is ticking. Will he save her mother in time? Comment below and let me know what you think happens next. Jamin didn't sleep. He sat in the chair across from Araya, watching her breathe, watching the city lights shift across her face. His phone buzzed twice more. Threats, warnings, coordinates for a meeting he wouldn't attend. He ignored them all. By dawn, his men had assembled. 6 of them, silent, armed, loyal. They gathered in the penthouse living room, standing in a half circle like shadows waiting for orders. "We move the girl," Jamin said. "Somewhere they can't track. Somewhere even I wouldn't think to look." One of the men nodded. "The compound." Yes, the compound was 30 miles outside the city. Hidden, fortified, the kind of place that didn't exist on maps. It's where the Marrowcrest Syndicate trained, where they planned, where they buried secrets. Araya stirred on the couch. Her eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the light. She saw the men and froze. Jamin raised a hand. "It's all right. They're with me." She relaxed slightly, sat up, rubbed her eyes. "Did you sleep?" she asked him. "No. Why not? I was making sure you were safe." She looked at him for a long moment, then smiled. Small, fragile, real. It broke something in him. "We're going somewhere else," he said. "Somewhere nobody can find you." "What about Mommy?" "I'm going to get her back. Promise." He crouched down in front of her. "Eye level. I promise." She nodded, believed him, trusted him. He didn't deserve it. but he'd earn it. They left through the underground garage. 3 cars. Araya rode with him, buckled into the passenger seat this time, teddy bear on her lap. She watched the city fade behind them, buildings shrinking into trees, concrete into grass. "Sir?" she said after a while. "Yes." "Why are you helping me?" He didn't answer right away. Couldn't. Because the truth was complicated, dangerous, human. "Because nobody helped me when I was small," he said finally. "And I won't let that happen to you." She was quiet after that. They reached the compound by mid-morning. High fences, guarded gates, buildings that looked abandoned from the outside, but hummed with activity within. Jamin led Araya inside, past training rooms and surveillance stations, into a smaller wing with soft lighting and comfortable furniture. A safe house within a fortress. "You'll stay here," he said. "My best guard will watch the door. Nobody gets in." She looked around, then back at him. "Are you leaving?" "For a little while." Her face fell. She tried to hide it. Failed. He knelt down. "I'll come back." "You promise?" "I promise." She reached out suddenly, arms wrapping around his neck. Hugging him. He stiffened, didn't know what to do. Then, slowly, carefully, he put his arms around her. She was so small, so breakable. He could feel her heartbeat against his chest. When she pulled back, her eyes were wet. "Thank you, sir." He nodded, stood, walked to the door, paused, looked back. She was watching him, clutching her teddy bear. "My name is Jamin," he said quietly. "You don't have to call me sir." She smiled through her tears. He left before he could change his mind. Outside, his second-in-command was waiting. "We've located the mother," the man said. "Warehouse district. Eastburn's men are holding her in an old shipping facility. Heavily guarded." "How many?" "At least 12. Jamin's expression didn't change. "Good. I was hoping for a challenge." His phone buzzed. Another text. "Midnight. Or she dies." He checked his watch. 11 hours. Plenty of time. He's walking into a trap. But is he the hunter or the prey? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Jamin sat in the war room, screens glowing around him, maps and blueprints spread across the table. His men stood silent, waiting. He studied the warehouse layout, memorizing exits, entry points, blind spots. "They'll expect me to come alone," he said. "Will you?" He smiled. Cold. Sharp. "No." His second-in-command leaned forward. "What's the plan?" "I go in through the front. You take a team through the back. Clean. Quiet. No witnesses. And the mother? We extract her first. Then we deal with Eastburn's men." "And Eastburn himself?" Jamin's eyes darkened. "Leave him to me." They moved at dusk. 3 vehicles. 18 men. Enough firepower to start a small war. Jamin rode in the lead car, watching the city blur past. His mind was clear, focused. This wasn't about revenge. Not yet. This was about keeping a promise. To a little girl who believed he was good. The warehouse district was a graveyard of rusted metal and broken concrete. Shipping containers stacked like tombstones. The facility they wanted was at the far end, lights on inside, shadows moving behind grimy windows. Jamin's car stopped 50 yards out. He stepped into the cold air, adjusting his suit jacket. His men fanned out behind him, silent as smoke. 2 minutes, he said. Then we move. They nodded. He walked toward the warehouse alone. The front door was steel, locked. He knocked. A slot opened. Eyes appeared. "You're early," a voice said. "I don't like waiting." The slot closed. Locks turned. The door opened. 4 men stood inside, armed, watching him. "Where's the girl?" one of them asked. "Safe." That wasn't the deal. "I'm changing the deal." The man's hand moved toward his weapon. Jamin was faster. 3 seconds later, all 4 men were on the ground. Unconscious, breathing, barely. He stepped over them and moved deeper into the warehouse. The main floor was empty. Crates stacked high. Shadows everywhere. He heard voices above. Second floor. He took the stairs 2 at a time, silent. At the top, he found her. Linnell Caldwell, tied to a chair in the center of the room. Blood dried on her face. Eyes wide with fear. 2 guards stood beside her, rifles slung over their shoulders. They saw him. raised their weapons. Too slow. Jamin moved like water. Precise. Brutal. Efficient. The first guard dropped. The second tried to run. Didn't make it. Linnell stared at him, trembling. Who are you? He cut the ropes, binding her wrists. A friend of your daughter's. Her eyes filled with tears. Araya, is she? She's safe. She's waiting for you. Linnell sobbed. Relief. Exhaustion. Terror released all at once. Then Jamin heard it. Footsteps. Heavy. Multiple. Coming from every direction. He'd walked into a trap, and they just sprung it. He came to save her. But who's going to save him? Drop a like and subscribe. Part 6 is coming soon. 12 men flooded the room from 3 doorways. Jamin counted them in 2 seconds. Calculated escape routes in 3. Found none. Linnell screamed. He shoved her behind a steel beam and pulled his weapon. The first shot rang out before he could breathe. He returned fire. 2 men dropped. Then 4. The warehouse exploded with gunfire and shouting and the smell of cordant. His second-in-command's voice crackled through his earpiece. We're pinned outside. They blocked the exits. Jamin dodged behind a crate. Bullets tore through wood, splintering inches from his face. Hold position, he said. I'll handle this. Sir, there's too many. He didn't respond. Just moved. Fast. Low. Quiet. His training kicked in. Muscle memory older than mercy. He took down 3 more men before they realized he'd flanked them. Then the lights cut out. Total darkness. Someone laughed. Deep. Confident. Familiar. Jamin. The voice echoed through the warehouse. I was hoping you'd come. Archer Eastburn. Emergency lights flickered on. Red. Dim. Casting shadows that moved like demons. Eastburn stood on a catwalk above, perfectly tailored suit, hands in his pockets, smiling down like he'd already won. You should have returned the girl, Eastburn said. Jamin raised his weapon, aimed. You should have left her alone. Eastburn tilted his head. Do you know what that child's mother discovered? What Gerald Finch told her before he died? Jamin said nothing. Financial records, Eastburn continued. Offshore accounts. Payments to certain individuals who helped children disappear. Quite lucrative, really. And Linnell Caldwell thought she could expose me. He laughed. She thought wrong. Jamin's jaw clenched. Where's your proof she's involved? Oh, I don't need proof. I need silence. And that little girl? Eastburn's smile widened. She's worth more than you know. Jamin's blood went cold. Eastburn leaned over the railing. Investors pay top dollar for clean, healthy children, especially ones nobody will miss. And Araya? She's perfect inventory. He's staring down pure evil. Can he make it out alive? Comment below and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Jamin didn't speak, didn't move, just aimed higher and fired. The bullet missed Eastburn by inches. Intentional. A warning. Eastburn's smile vanished. He stepped back from the railing, disappearing into shadow. Secure the mother, Jamin ordered into his earpiece. I'm going after Eastburn. He vaulted up a ladder, boots clanging against metal. The catwalk stretched ahead, narrow and rusted. Footsteps echoed somewhere in the dark. He followed them, weapon raised, breath steady. A door slammed. He kicked it open. Empty office. Dusty desk. Broken windows. Then movement behind him. He spun. Eastburn's bodyguard. Massive. Silent. Fist already swinging. Jamin blocked it. Barely. The impact rattled his bones. The man was twice his size, trained, relentless. They fought in tight quarters, fists and elbows and knees. No room for guns. Just raw violence. Jamin took a hit to the ribs. Grunted. Countered with a strike to the throat. The bodyguard staggered. Jamin didn't stop. Couldn't. He drove the man back, through the doorway, onto the catwalk. The railing groaned under their weight. One final strike. The bodyguard dropped. Jamin straightened, breathing hard, blood on his knuckles. His earpiece crackled. We've got the mother. She's stable. Heading to the vehicles now. Relief flooded through him. Good. Get her out. I'll meet you. A gunshot. Pain exploded through his shoulder. He stumbled. Turned. Eastburn stood 20 feet away, smoking pistol in his hand, eyes gleaming. You cost me millions, Eastburn said. And for what? A woman and a child you don't even know? Jamin pressed his hand against his shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers. I know enough. Eastburn raised the gun again. Any last words? Jamin smiled. Cold. Dangerous. Yeah, you talk too much. His men burst through the doors behind Eastburn. 3 of them, armed, furious. Eastburn's face went white. He ran. Jamin pushed off the wall, ignoring the pain, and followed. The hunter just became the hunted. Will justice finally be served? Drop a like and let us know what you think in the comments. Eastburn fled through the warehouse like a rat through a maze. Jamin tracked him by sound, by instinct, by the smell of fear that rich men always carried when their money couldn't save them. He cornered Eastburn in the loading bay. Concrete walls, no exits, nowhere to run. Eastburn spun around, breathing hard, suit disheveled, gun trembling in his hand. Stay back, he warned. Jamin kept walking. Slow, steady, inevitable. I'll pay you, Eastburn said desperately. Name your price. 10 million, 20, whatever you want. I don't want your money. Then what do you want? Jamin stopped 3 feet away. I want you to know what it feels like to be helpless. Eastburn fired. The bullet went wide. Panic shot. Amateur. Jamin closed the distance. Grabbed Eastburn's wrist. Twisted. The gun clattered to the ground. Eastburn fell to his knees. Please, please, I'll do anything. You threatened a child, Jamin said quietly. You sold children. You thought you were untouchable. I am. My family, my connections. Won't save you. Jamin's men entered the loading bay. Silent, waiting for orders. He looked down at Eastburn, this man who smiled in boardrooms, who shook hands with politicians, who built an empire on stolen innocence. You're going to confess, Jamin said. Every name, every account, every child you sold. I'll never. Jamin leaned closer. Or I'll make sure the families of those children find you first. And trust me, what I do to you is mercy compared to what they will. Eastburn's face crumbled, broken, defeated. Take him, Jamin said to his men. Let the police find him with all the evidence they need. Anonymous tip. Clean. They dragged Eastburn away, his screams echoing through the warehouse. Jamin stood alone in the loading bay, shoulder bleeding, body aching, mind finally quiet. It was over. He pulled out his phone, called the compound. Is she okay? He asked. She's been asking for you, his guard replied. Keeps looking at the door. Something in his chest tightened. Tell her I'm coming home. He hung up, and for the first time in years, the word home didn't feel empty. Justice is served. But will he keep his promise to Araya? Comment and subscribe to find out what happens next. Dawn broke cold and clean over the compound. Jamin arrived with his shoulder bandaged, suit ruined, exhaustion carved into his face. His men had already brought Linnell there. She was resting, safe, alive. He walked through the halls, past guards who nodded respectfully, past rooms humming with quiet activity. He stopped outside the safe house door, took a breath, opened it. Araya sat on the floor, teddy bear beside her, drawing on paper someone had given her. She looked up, saw him, and ran, straight into his arms. He caught her, lifted her, held her close. She wrapped her arms around his neck, so tight he could barely breathe. You came back, she whispered. I promised. She pulled back, eyes searching his face. Did you find Mommy? Yes. Is she okay? She's here. She's safe. She wants to see you. Araya's eyes filled with tears. Happy ones. Relieved ones. Can I see her now? He nodded. He carried her down the hall to another room. Opened the door. Linnell sat on the bed, bruised but alive, eyes red from crying. She saw Araya and sobbed. Baby! Araya leapt from Jamin's arms and ran to her mother. They collided in the middle of the room, holding each other, crying, whole again. Jamin stood in the doorway, watching, feeling something unfamiliar bloom in his chest. Purpose. Linnell looked up at him through her tears. You saved us. I don't know how to. You don't owe me anything, he said quietly. Yes, I do. You risked everything. He shook his head. She asked me for a day. I gave her more than that. Araya turned in her mother's arms, still holding on. Sir, Jamin, can we spend more days with you? He froze. The question hung in the air. He'd built walls around himself for years. Protection, distance, safety, and this little girl had walked through them like they were paper. I don't know if that's a good idea, he said carefully. My world is dangerous. But you made it safe, Araya said. For us. Linnell spoke softly. We don't have anywhere else to go. Our apartment, everything we had. Jamin understood. Eastburn's men had destroyed it. And even with Eastburn arrested, his network still existed. Linnell and Araya would never be safe in that neighborhood again. Maybe not anywhere, unless someone powerful protected them. He exhaled slowly, made a decision. You'll stay here, both of you, as long as you need. Araya smiled, bright, pure, trusting. And he realized he'd do anything to keep that smile safe. The rescue is complete. But is this really the end? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next story. Share your thoughts in the comments and inspire others with your support. 3 weeks passed like snow melting into spring. Linnell recovered. Araya smiled more, laughed more, started calling the compound home. Jamin gave them a permanent suite, hired tutors for Araya, found Linnell work within his organization. Legitimate work, clean books, safe. He told himself it was temporary, that once things settled, they'd leave, build a new life somewhere far from Chicago, somewhere normal. But Araya had other ideas. She followed him everywhere, asked questions about everything, drew pictures and left them on his desk, told him stories about school, about dreams, about the father she never had. And slowly, carefully, the mafia boss who'd never smiled began to smile. One morning, he found her in his office. She'd climbed into his chair, teddy bear on her lap, looking at documents she couldn't read. What are you doing? He asked. Playing boss, she said seriously. Like you. He sat across from her. Bosses have to make hard choices. I know. Mommy told me. She said you saved us when nobody else would. He didn't know what to say to that. Araya leaned forward. Jamin, can I ask you something? Always. Do you have a family? The question hit harder than any bullet. No, he said quietly. Not anymore. Why not? I lost them. A long time ago. She was quiet for a moment, and she climbed out of his chair, walked around the desk, and took his hand. You can have us, she said, if you want. Me and Mommy. We can be your family. His throat tightened. He looked down at her small hand in his, at the trust in her eyes, at the innocence he'd fought so hard to protect. You don't know what you're asking, he said. Yes, I do. You're good. Even if you don't think you are. He shook his head. I've done terrible things, but you did good things too. You saved us. You kept your promise. That's what matters. He wanted to argue, wanted to explain why he didn't deserve this, why she should find someone better, but he couldn't, because for the first time in his life, he didn't want to be alone. Okay, he whispered. She hugged him, tight, unashamed, unafraid, and he hugged her back. Later that night, as the city lights flickered below, Jamin stood in his penthouse, looking out at the world he'd conquered through fear and power. Behind him, Araya slept on the couch, teddy bear tucked under her arm. Linnell sat nearby, reading, peaceful. His phone buzzed, a message from his second-in-command. Eastburn's entire network dismantled, arrests across 3 states. Children recovered. You did it, sir. He didn't reply, just turned back to the window and allowed himself something dangerous. Hope. The next morning, he prepared to leave for a meeting. Business. Routine. Safe. Araya woke as he reached the door. Jamin, she called softly. He stopped, looked back. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. Can we spend more than a day with you? Like forever. He froze. The question wasn't innocent anymore. It was a choice, a commitment, a future he'd never imagined. He walked back to her, crouched down, eye level. Is that what you want? He asked. She nodded. You're safe. You're kind. And you see me. Really see me. Nobody else ever did. His chest ached. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. But you're ours. He looked at Linnell. She smiled, nodded. Permission. Acceptance. He turned back to Araya. And for the first time in years, the mafia boss who'd built walls around his heart let them fall. "Yes," he said quietly. "You can stay, as long as you want." Araya threw her arms around him, and he held her. This little girl who'd asked a stranger for a single day, and given him a reason to believe in forever. This is just the beginning. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the stories that inspire. Drop a comment and share your thoughts. Your words inspire others. Thank you for being here.